We take a look back at what was making the news in our History Through Headlines segment. It was 1964. The Beatles came to America. The New York World's Fair was held in New York City. And President Lyndon B. Johnson signed the Civil Rights Act into law. The headline reads, "Historic Civil Rights Measure Becomes Law." 51 years ago, President Johnson signed the Civil Rights Act of 1964. This landmark piece of legislation attempted to advance the stance of African Americans and other minorities throughout the country. Since the abolishment of slavery almost 100 years prior, African Americans had been treated like second-class citizens. The movement for equality gained more traction in the 50s and 60s, spearheaded by fervent leaders such as Malcolm X and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Rallies, boycotts, and marches were organized to bring attention to the plight of African Americans. Former Indiana Senator Birch Bayh was in his first term when the act was pushed through.
The number one issue was the passage of all those civil rights laws. And the Southerners were successfully filibustering those to death.
The law provided a legal foundation for African Americans and other minorities to combat discrimination based on race. But activists today are still fighting for equal treatment.
51 years later, we still have a long ways to go. We're not where we were, but we can get a lot better as a country. As I look around and I see protests in places like Ferguson, in Baltimore, in Charleston, I know that the work of civil rights activists is still important and will continue to challenge the nation and should continue to challenge the nation.
President Johnson gave out 72 ceremonial pens used to sign the law. He gave one of those to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. 3 hours after the bill had passed, its signing was rushed for the July 4th weekend.